morning, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Quamia Ross, and this is Following the Footsteps of Christ. Today I'm going to be discussing judging. Now, the Bible talks a lot about judging others. And where I want to begin is how it discusses when we judge others, the way we judge them, then that's how we'll be judged. I'm going to read from the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 2. And as usual, I'm reading from the King James Version, so if you have a Bible or any type of Bible app with you, feel free to read along. Again, that's Matthew chapter 7, verse 2, and it says, "For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again." So basically that's meaning, if we judge others and we're not merciful to them, then when we're looking for someone to empathize with us or we're looking for some type of understanding, we won't receive it. We'll be judged the same way we judge others. The way we treat others and we don't have any type of grace for them, that's the measure that will be brought into us. Now, when I was in high school, there was this young girl. She became a teenage mother. Well, she was pregnant and she was young, and I felt it was taboo. I was raised in the church, and we were always taught that we weren't supposed to have sex before marriage. And, seeing this teenage girl who was pregnant, it just screamed that she was out fornicating, that she wasn't, I just looked down on her. I never teased her. There were girls who would make fun of her, or, I didn't do any of those things, but I noticed that I didn't treat her the way I should have. Sometimes she'd try to talk to me and I'd ignore her because I really didn't want to be associated with her, because I was judging her because she was a girl who was pregnant. She was a teenager. And in my eyes, I perceived that as bad. I didn't know her situation. I didn't get a chance to talk to her to see what happened. I didn't know anything about her life. I just saw that she was a teenage girl who was in high school and she was pregnant. And lo and behold, a year later, I became pregnant and became a teenage mother. So the thing that I want to discuss is that when we judge others, we never know what circumstances that we'll fall into. Have you ever noticed, yourself judging someone you don't know of? You might see the person, maybe they're on your job, or maybe they live in your neighborhood, they're a neighbor of yours, you never got a chance to talk to them or discuss their life situation with them. You never had a chance to really meet them and get to know them as a person, but you find yourself having negative thoughts or negative views or perspectives about them based on maybe the way they behave themselves or based on their outer appearance. And the Bible talks about that. It talks about abstaining from that because, we never know a person until we actually get to know them. We're not supposed to judge based off a person's appearance. In the book of John, chapter 7, verse 24, it says, "Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment." Now, there's a saying that says, walk a mile in my shoes before you judge me. I know you all heard of that. We used to say this before, especially when I was a kid, don't judge me unless you walked a mile in my shoes. Meaning, when you see that teenage girl who's pregnant, before you look down on her and begin to reprimand her, you don't know what type of environment she's come from. You don't know what type of lifestyle she's lived. And the fact that we aren't, privy to certain things is because of how our lives have been. We don't know what type of circumstances we would have. We don't know if we would end up being in the same situation as these people are that we're judging, if we would have had the same situations they've been accustomed to growing up. Everyone has a life. Their lives are formed based on, our lives are formed, and the choices and judgments that we make in life are formed based on our background, how we were raised, what we were exposed to, the experiences that we faced. And we've all had different experiences. We were all raised a certain way. Just because we have different values doesn't mean that other people were raised with those same type of values. Their parents, that teenage girl that we're probably looking down on, maybe they were never talked to about sex. Maybe their mother or their father had a very promiscuous lifestyle around them, or maybe, they were probably exposed to sex at a very young age. Maybe they were sexually abused. We don't know the situation. That's why we're not supposed to judge others. I see in the news all the time there's something happening where you hear about someone, there's something bad every day. Someone robbed a bank, or someone held up a man at a grocery store, or someone robbed some type of jewelry store, or snatched a purse from an older lady. You can find any type of bad thing if you just search the news. And it's easy to just, judge these people and say, well, what's wrong with them? I would never do something like that, but you never know what situation you'd be in. We're not saying make excuses and justify the negative behavior, but we're not supposed to judge a person. We're not supposed to judge them, because you know what? We never know if our lives could have gone that way. It's just by the mercy and grace of God that we aren't living the same way these people are living, some of these people. And we could have easily been in their situation. But God has given us grace and mercy to prevent that. So, who have you been judging lately? Maybe there's this young man who's in your neighborhood, and maybe he's strung out on drugs. Maybe the whole neighborhood knows he's on drugs. Maybe he steals from his parents, and he can't keep a job. He's in and out, of prison or whatever. And maybe everyone talks about him in the neighborhood. No one will, get a chance to know him or befriend him because everyone's judging him. But we're supposed to be different. As Christians, we're supposed to walk with a different light. We're supposed to shine. We're supposed to be the salt of the earth, meaning we're supposed to reach those who are hurting. Instead of judging the young man who's on drugs, the young man who's in and out of jail, or the young girl who's gotten pregnant, or the young woman who runs around and has a different boyfriend every other week, or can't seem to keep a husband, how about we get a chance to know them and pray for them? We don't know what it is that they were exposed to. We don't know what type of parents they grew up with, or if they even had parents. We don't know what type of abuses and hurts and pains that they were inflicted with. We don't know if they were even taught anything in life. We don't know if they know about God. What we do know is that they're probably hurting. Negative behavior derives from hurting people. When you're hurt, it comes out. It manifests in your outward appearance and your outward behavior. Maybe that person who's tattooing themselves from head to toe, maybe they're trying to say something. Maybe they're trying to express something and they don't know how to go about and express what's bothering them. But instead of looking down on them, we need to become better. I've been judged all my life. People look at me and think I'm nothing. They just see a woman who had children, who was a teenage mother, and who never got married. But what they don't know is that I was introduced to pornography at a young age. I became promiscuous because I didn't have a father who cared about me, and I was looking for love and attention. They don't know that I was teased throughout school, didn't have any friends, didn't have anyone to show me any type of love. That I grew up in a very dysfunctional lifestyle, that my family and we lived in one room and slept in one bed till I was nearly 12 years old, that I didn't even have my own bedroom. They don't know what I've gone through. They don't know the fact that I couldn't keep a job because I was getting harassed on every job I had by witches, by people doing Satan's work, and I couldn't keep a job because I was being attacked every single day. Or I took the time to stay home and be a mother to 2 special needs children that I was raising by myself, and I wanted to give them a better life and focus on them, so I couldn't work all the time. People just look at me and think, oh, she's just another mother who didn't care, or just another teenage mom. No. Why don't we get a chance to start knowing people and knowing what their lifestyle and their background is? Because you know what? Maybe that could have been you, but you were just saved by the grace of God. Instead of looking down on that man who spent time in prison, why don't you talk to him? Get a chance to understand what happened in his life. Why did he go to prison? You never know what happened in people's lives. Not everyone is out to be this negative, bad person. People don't do bad things for no reason. And I'm not justifying anything. What I'm saying is we need to learn how to start showing love to others. We need to learn how to start empathizing with other people instead of judging them. We can't look on people and look on the outside and say we're filled with love when we're sitting here judging others with our harsh eyes and our harsh perspective. People make mistakes. People do wrong things. And yes, sometimes we don't agree with things that other people do. But it's not for us to judge them. That should be left up to God. What it is for us to do is, if they're willing, you can offer them salvation. You can minister to them and tell them about God. You can share your testimonies with them and how God has brought you out of a difficult situation and turned it around. You can start praying for them. You can offer them assistance if they need anything. Maybe they need some food. Maybe they need someone to help them watch those children, because maybe that single mother has no one around and she can't get a job because there's no one to help her take care of her children. She has no babysitter and she can't afford one. So how about you go out and ask her, hey, do you need me to watch your kids someday while you go and fill out some job applications, or do you need me to look after your child while you go on a job interview, or do you need me to give you a ride to work? I mean, there's too many people always talking and ridiculing others, but we don't ever take the time to get to know the people and understand where they're coming from. We don't ever get the time to offer help. It's just a bunch of people judging others every day as if we've never made mistakes, as if we don't have anything wrong in our lives. Yes, our lives might not be as messed up as we perceive others' lives to be, but we have some skeletons. If you dig deep enough, everyone has something that they're not proud of. Everyone has something that they're struggling with. So, like they say, if you live in a glass house, you shouldn't throw stones. Instead of looking at that speck that's in your neighbor's eye, how about taking care of the beam that's in your own eye first? How about getting yourself together before you can point the finger at another person? Because we all have skeletons. We all have things that, we have sins, we have problems, we have issues, we have family issues, we have things that others can judge us for. What we need to learn is how to love unconditionally, how to accept others, how to forgive. It doesn't matter, if you gossip every day or you probably go home and disrespect your husband and yell at him and call him all kinds of names, but you say, I'm a good woman, at least I haven't done what my neighbor or my coworker's done. She slept around and cheated on her husband. I'm not as bad as she is, but you're still bad because you're not respecting and honoring your husband. You're still not obeying God's word. And it says in the Bible, if you've committed one sin, it says you've committed them all. If you want to go by the law, you're guilty of breaking them all. If you go by the law and you've committed one sin, you're guilty of breaking them all. And all have sinned and fallen short of God's glory. So it's not up to us to point a finger at anyone else. We're not the judge and juror. God is a sovereign God. He's our judge. He's the final judge and jury of everything. He's our jury. He's our judge. Everyone has to stand at the end of the day. When our lives are over and this is all over, we all have to stand before Him and make account and give account of everything we've done and said in our lives. We have to stand before Him. So who are we to judge anyone else? Who are we to judge that mother who comes home from work and is tired and exhausted after working a double shift, and she goes straight to sleep and she can't tend to her children, and maybe they're running around outside or running up and down the street because there's no one to watch them, and the mother's tired because she's working 2 jobs and she has no one to help her pay the bills. And she doesn't have enough energy to go outside and play with the children at the end of the day. But yet we're sitting here casting stones and say, she doesn't look after her children. Yeah. Maybe your boss comes in smelling like alcohol. Do you know why? Maybe he's on the verge of committing suicide. Maybe he's tired of going home every night to a wife who demeans him and disrespects him, and his only escape and outlet is drinking alcohol. How about you preach to him? How about ministering the word to him? The thing I'm trying to get at is none of us are perfect. And it's only by the grace of God that we are able to live the lives that we live. If we are fortunate enough to be able to abstain from certain sins and to be able to live in Christ's righteousness, notice it's Christ's righteousness. It's His righteousness. We don't receive it through ourselves. The righteousness is given through Jesus Christ. And if you have been guilty of judging others, then just go to God and ask for forgiveness. We've all done it. But we shouldn't make a habit of continuing to do it, because that's how we push people away. We push people away from the Lord when we judge them. And there's so many Christians who sit in the church and proclaim to love God, but they judge. They have a wicked, evil heart. and they're not trying to love others. Instead, they're looking down on others and casting stones at them. But I guarantee you, there's something that they're hiding in their closet that they haven't revealed. Their lives aren't perfect. So we need to start being more mindful of how we treat others. We need to start forgiving others. We need to stop judging others. Because remember, the way we judge others, that's how we'll be judged, especially by God.